Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Before we dive into the video, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon. Let's dive in. The moment I walked into my wife's office party, I could already feel the tension in the air. It wasn't that anyone said anything outright. It was the looks, the whispers, the way some of her coworkers glanced at me like I didn't belong. Emily, my wife, had been distant for months. Long nights at the office, urgent weekend meetings, always brushing off my questions with a quick kiss and an excuse. What if the boss who mocked you had no idea you owned everything? Tonight, I wanted to surprise her, to remind her that beneath all her new corporate priorities, I was still her husband. But what I didn't expect was to see her boss, Brad, slide an arm a little too casually around her waist as he introduced her to a group of people. Brad was one of those men who thought the world revolved around him. Slick hair, expensive suit, and a grin that screamed arrogance. He turned to me, pretending to only just notice I was there. "Oh, so this is Emily's husband," he said with mock surprise. "You're the contractor, right?" The word contractor dripped from his mouth like an insult. The people around him laughed politely and Emily's face turned pale. I just smiled. He had no idea who I really was. I extended my hand. "That's right," I said evenly. "I handle a few properties around town." His grip was firm, trying too hard to prove dominance. "Good for you," he said. The kind of fake encouragement men like him gave when they thought they were better than you. He turned to Emily again, ignoring me completely. "You've got yourself a hardworking man, huh? Probably builds a mean deck." Laughter erupted again. I could see Emily shrinking in embarrassment, but she didn't correct him. That stung more than his words ever could. The rest of the evening was a performance. Brad made little jokes about blue-collar types and people who work with their hands. And each time Emily nervously giggled or looked away, I stayed calm, polite, even charming because I wasn't just some husband tagging along. I was the silent owner of the entire firm. Dinner was served at a long table, executives on one side, mid-level staff on the other. Brad sat at the head, holding court, bragging about the latest deal he'd closed. I sat quietly, eating slowly, waiting for the right moment. It came during dessert. Brad leaned back, glass in hand. "So, contractor," he said loudly, "what's the biggest project you've ever handled? A garage? A fence?" The table chuckled. Emily stared at her plate. I wiped my mouth with a napkin and smiled. "Actually, Brad, the biggest one is this company." He blinked. "What?" "I own it," I said simply. "Bought it 3 years ago. You work for me." For a second, no one spoke. Brad laughed. Loud, fake, uneasy. "That's funny," he said. I leaned back in my chair. I wasn't joking. Then I turned to the CFO, sitting a few seats away. "David, you might want to let Brad know who signed the acquisition papers 3 years ago." The CFO's eyes widened. "Sir, I didn't realize you were attending tonight. My apologies." The word "sir" echoed around the table like a gunshot. Brad's grin disappeared. Emily's fork dropped against her plate. I stood up, straightened my jacket, and looked Brad in the eye. "I built this company from the ground up. The properties you manage, the projects you boast about, they're mine, and I've been watching you for a while now." His face turned ghost white. "You've been mocking employees, belittling your team, and apparently flirting with your married staff at company events. That ends tonight." I glanced at Emily, her eyes wide with guilt and shame. "You'll hand in your resignation by Monday. If you don't, I'll make sure everyone knows why." The room was dead silent. Brad stammered, trying to find words, but none came. I looked at Emily once more, her face flushed with humiliation. "Enjoy the rest of your evening," I said, and walked out. The whispers followed me all the way to the door. Outside, I took a deep breath of the cool night air, feeling the anger drain away, replaced by something colder. Disappointment. Emily came home later that night. Her mascara smudged, her eyes red. "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispered. I looked at her for a long moment. "Because I wanted to see who you'd become when you thought I wasn't watching." She started to cry, reaching for me, but I stepped back. "I didn't expect loyalty from your boss, Emily. But I did from my wife that night." I slept in the guest room, not out of anger, but clarity. Sometimes you don't need to raise your voice to make a point. You just need to let silence and truth do the work.